Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're wondering why I look like this, I have my hair in some curlers and some pin curls because I'm getting ready for a little event tonight. I have a gala for work that I am attending and I thought it might be fun to do my makeup with you, and I'm going to be answering some questions from Instagram. I posted a little question box over there a few days ago and asked if anyone had any questions or anything they wanted to hear me chat about. We're just going to get ready together. It might be a little bit of a long one, so definitely grab yourself a drink. I've got my water handy here. We're staying hydrated. It is a work event, so I'm not going to go like super all out. I just kind of want to look polished, a subtle glam, put together kind of a vibe. So hopefully it all comes together in the end, but I guess we'll find out together. I've got about an hour before I need to leave, so hopefully I've left myself enough time for once, but we better get started. I've already prepped my skin. By the way, I just want to say a lot of this video, I've been watching this TikTok account. I want to say her name is like Evelina something. I'll have her linked in the description box. She's a really big TikToker, so I'm sure a lot of you follow her. But I started watching her TikToks primarily for like wedding makeup inspo and tips, but I feel like a lot of the tips that she gives are for more like event, long wear, but like still natural soft glam type makeup. So one of the things that I took from her was the skin prep, so I'll just show you what I did. She recommends starting with like an exfoliating pad. So I pulled out these First Aid Beauty Facial Radiance pads and just went over my entire face, but primarily the areas where I have like dry patches and texture. And then she says to follow up with a hydrating serum. So I used my Madagascar Centella ProBio Cica Intensive Ampule from Skin 1004, which I've been using for months at this point and I really like. She then recommends going in with a thicker moisturizer, and she actually recommends the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, which I happen to have. And this is just a really nice, thick, hydrating moisturizer. Makes for a really well moisturized base for makeup. So I put some of that on. And then she actually, I forgot to grab it, but she recommends using a few drops of a face oil over top just to make that foundation go on really smoothly. So I put on I have one from Ren, something barrier support something. I'll try to insert a link to it in the down bar, along with links to everything else I'm using, because as I'm answering questions, I might forget to say what products I'm using. So check the description box if you're wondering about any of the products. And just putting on some lip balm. This is the By Terry Balm de Rose. So my lips can be getting nice and hydrated while I work on the makeup part. I think I'm actually going to start with eyes and let that face oil continue to sink in. So I'm just going to prime with my Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer. It's my favorite eye primer that I've ever used, and it was a suggestion from one of you, so thank you very much. Okay, let's pull up some of these questions. So as I mentioned, I posted the question box on Instagram. So if you're not following me over there, I'll have the link in the description box as well. And you can follow me, and maybe if we think this is fun, I will post more question boxes over there on my stories, and we can do more kind of chatty videos in the future. Somebody asked, how old are you? So I feel like that might be a good place to start. I am 29 and I will be 30 in December, which is kind of crazy to think about, but I also feel like I've just been 30 my whole life, you know? So I don't know, it feels like I'm coming into my age rather than losing my youth or something like that. So I'm not mad about turning 30. I'm actually weirdly kind of excited for my 30s, because the 20s are tough. I feel like a lot of people who've been through their 20s would tell you the 20s are tough. So fingers crossed the 30s are a little bit better. And then someone asked, what is your day job? I am basically a PhD student, working on a PhD in English literature with the hopes of one day becoming an English professor. Just setting my eye primer with the shade from the ABH Carli Bybel palette. So in order to basically pay for my tuition as a grad student, I typically teach a class every semester. So I've taught writing, I've taught English, I've taught like gen ed courses, I've taught women and gender studies courses. So I've done a lot of teaching in the past. But this semester, I'm actually working as an editorial assistant. So learning a lot about the publishing field, and I really wanted to get that experience. So yeah, I guess technically my job right now is that I am an editorial assistant at a press, but I'm also a graduate student. Okay, for the rest of my eyeshadow, I'm going to use my Natasha Denona Biba palette, mainly because this is the #1 palette that I think of when I think of like simple, neutral, subtle makeup, but with a little bit of glam. And I'm following Evelina's tutorial for a soft and smoky eyeshadow. So she starts with kind of like a neutral brown on the outer half of the eye and in the crease. So I'm gonna take Freckle from the Biba palette, this one right here. I guess since I started with like the questions that are more about me and my life, I'll continue with that vein and then move to some of the other questions that are more about like makeup and makeup content and stuff. So someone asked, actually my friend Lexi, hey girl, she asked, what's your favorite holiday / season? So I used to say winter because I lived in a place where it didn't really snow in the winter. But now that I live in a place that gets quite a bit of snow, I am not the biggest fan of winter anymore. The snow is pretty, don't get me wrong, but I really get nervous when I have to drive in it. So now I think I would say autumn because I do love a Christmas crispness in the air. I do love Christmas, by the way. That's probably my favorite holiday. But I like that crispness in the air. I like to layer up. I love the fashion of fall and winter. I like a hot beverage, as some of you know. We had a whole debate one time in the comments about hot versus iced coffees. I'm a hot beverage girl, and yeah, I just like a cozy vibe. So I like Christmas, but I also like all the other holidays that come in the cooler months. Like Halloween is fun, Thanksgiving is fun because I love food. So if we want to get specific, my favorite season is definitely the fall and winter. So like October through December. January, not a fave. Gets a little rough because it's snowing, but it's not like festive anymore, you know? So you're just sort of stuck inside and sad. So yeah, definitely October through December time. Okay, now going in with a deep brown shade, I'm gonna take Seed from the Biba palette and just build that up close to the lash line. Someone asked, how is wedding planning going? So if you weren't around for that, I did just recently get engaged in August. I feel like I should know that, but it was August, right? I think so. So we are in the midst of wedding planning. It's actually going a lot better than I thought it would. I was thinking that we might actually be getting married in 2025 just because with how much work it takes to plan a wedding, I had low expectations for being able to get something scheduled for 2024 unless it was like a winter wedding. But we ended up getting really lucky along the way. And so now we are getting married in the summer of 2024. And we were very fortunate to find a venue. That's why we're getting married when we are, because the venue just magically had an opening for June of 2024, which I was definitely not expecting, and that worked out. So the venue for the wedding, we've got the venue for the reception, we've got the florist, we've got the caterer and the DJ. So most of the like really big stuff that was stressing me out the most, we've got. There's a few other things, like I don't have a dress yet. Obviously, that's kind of a big thing, but I am going to try on dresses in, well, November. It is November. So this month, end of this month, I'll be trying on some dresses. So fingers crossed I can find something. I think for a while there, I was really a little bit stressed about the wedding and wedding planning. And there's a lot of pressure, I feel like, both online and in real life to put a lot of time and money and effort into your wedding. Obviously, I'm happy for anyone to do what makes them happy for their wedding, but for me, I knew that being stressed out was not really what I wanted. I wanted to have this be like a fun process. And thankfully my mom is really into this stuff and she's also really good at this stuff. So she's been helping me a lot, which is, I'm very fortunate to have her. Yeah, I just kind of made the decision. I'm not going to be stressed about this and it's not going to be perfect. There will be things that go wrong. It might not look like an Instagram wedding. I just want it to be simple. We're keeping it really small, just very close friends and family. And yeah, I just kind of want to have a nice day, you know? I want it to be a nice day with the people that I love, and I don't need anything else, you know? I don't need anything overly extravagant. So having that mindset put into place has really helped the way I felt about the wedding and wedding planning, because I was sort of almost, I got to the point where I was almost dreading it, which is never how you want to feel about your wedding. But yeah, if you let yourself, you can really be stressed out by wedding planning, I think. But to answer the question, the planning is going really well. We are all set to get married next June, and now it's just a matter of finding a dress and sending out invitations and other things like that. But for the most part, feeling good about it. Okay, I'm gonna try to focus for this part because I'm gonna do some black eyeliner. So I'm gonna try to get that really close to my lash line. This is the L'Oreal Paris Infallible Grip Gel Mechanical Liner in Intense Black. And just do a little bit of a wing. And then I'm just gonna go over and smudge it out. And then go back in with that dark brown shade to just go over top. And make it really lived in almost. I don't want anything too structured. Like, I want the wing to just be sort of like part of the look, you know? Which brings me to another topic, which is wedding makeup. I actually asked on my Instagram just because I was curious, like, we're all kind of beauty lovers over there, you know? So did you all do your own makeup? Like, I don't really have a good sense of like if it's pretty common for people to do their own wedding makeup, or if most people, you know, factor that into their budget to have someone do it, etc. Got some really interesting responses. The majority of people that did have their makeup done were happy they did, and the majority of people that didn't have their makeup done were happy they did. So I think it's just like a very personal choice. I think I am gonna do my own makeup. Like I said, I'd like to do some like trials on my channel, and this is sort of like a baby trial, like a pre-trial, because I feel like this is the general kind of eye look I'm gonna go for. It's just like something really classic and simple but smoky. But yeah, that's like a whole other part of it, is like, do you have someone do your makeup? Do you have someone do your hair? Do you have a wedding planner, right? Like, I know a lot of people probably want a wedding planner because planning a wedding is really stressful. I don't have a wedding planner because thankfully I have my mom who's helping me, but if I didn't have her, I would probably be looking at a wedding planner and like trying to budget that out. And so much of it does depend on your budget too, because these things get expensive as well. Okay, I feel like I'm pretty happy with the eyes. Maybe not totally even, but I think it'll all even out with mascara. So let's go in with base, and then I'll come back to the eyes in a minute. Evelina mentions using like a pore filling primer, and I don't have one of those right now, although I wish I did. But I am gonna use this one, which is supposed to be a little bit blurring. It's the Becca First Light Priming Filter. See if this will kind of blur things, even if my pores aren't necessarily filled in. Someone asked when and how you discovered Project Pan and implemented it into your whole life, like the whole story. So that is kind of a long story, actually. I'll start at the beginning. So I have been watching beauty YouTube since it started, pretty much, like very early days of YouTube. I guess I was middle school, about to start high school, back in like the, you know, like the Zoella days, where people were filming on their bedroom floors. Juicy Star 07, All That Glitters 21. Let me know in the comments if you know who I'm talking about. Let me actually start putting my foundation on. So I'm gonna use the Clinique Even Better. I feel like this isn't a terrible match for me, but sometimes it can look a little heavy, so we'll just start light and see. But yeah, I watched all of the beauty YouTubers like way back in the day. And I wore makeup to school and stuff, but I didn't really have like any money at the time, so it's not like I was buying a ton of makeup. And then by the time I went to college, you know, I had like one or two eyeshadow palettes, and I still liked makeup. I liked playing with makeup. I liked getting dressed up and doing my makeup, but it wasn't as much of like a part of my daily life to watch beauty YouTube. I didn't have an Instagram account devoted to beauty or anything. It was just sort of like in the background in my college years. And then I guess COVID happened, which I feel like that changed a lot of things for a lot of people. But I remember specifically during COVID, I started watching a lot more beauty YouTube again. And I felt like kind of out of the loop. I'd always sort of watched it like a little bit here and there, but I wasn't watching people that were keeping up with like beauty trends. And for the first time over COVID, I really started getting into those people that were, you know, reviewing new launches and collecting eyeshadow palettes and all of that stuff. And I finally got up enough courage to start an Instagram account. And the idea behind my Instagram account was always just to kind of share what makeup I was using and loving. And I never really wanted to be an account that was like reviewing all the newest launches. I knew I didn't have the money for that, for one thing. But I also knew like I don't want to get overwhelmed by how much makeup I have. But as sometimes happens, for a lot of us, I think I kind of fell victim for a while to the hype of new launches. It was sort of a negative and it was sort of a positive, right? Because for the first time in a really long time, I was very excited by makeup again and very excited to try new makeup. And I hadn't felt that way in a really long time. But I also definitely was not on my guard when it comes to like shopping responsibly, shopping in a way that matched my usage. I was just sort of like, oh, I don't have any colorful eyeshadow palettes. Let me go buy 4 colorful eyeshadow palettes so then I'll have a colorful eyeshadow palette collection to choose from, you know? So it was very much about that, like this sense of like filling in gaps in my collection and just being overly excited to try everything. And that ended up, you know, my makeup collection tripled over the course of like a year. And pretty quickly I started to realize like I can't get through all of my palettes. Like when I try to, you know, pick a palette, I'm overwhelmed by how many choices I have. I have nowhere to store this stuff. I'm behind on reviewing things, so there was really no reason for me to buy this because I've already missed the like review window for when the review is going to get the most attention. And I just felt myself getting really caught up in this like unnecessary stress in the beauty community, which was obviously never my intention. I started that Instagram to like make friends and to have fun and have a hobby. Going in with my Kosas Revealer Concealer. So I think that was kind of when I was like, okay, this isn't really how I want to participate in the beauty community. So what are my options? Like I knew something had to change. I didn't want to leave the beauty community altogether because I obviously love it and I have so much fun with it, and making content brings me a lot of joy and the friendships that I've made bring me a lot of joy. But I was kind of like looking for, what are my options here? Like what's another way to do this? And that's when I started finding people like VC Pans on Instagram, Veronica. Accounts like Veronica's where it was like using the same palettes again and again and again and making progress and taking pictures of that progress and hitting pans and stuff. And so I think, yeah, it started on Instagram, and then I had the thought of like, I knew what project panning was because like even back in the early days of YouTube, they would do Project 10 pan. So they would pick out 10 products, try to hit pan on them or finish them before buying new products. Like that idea has been around for a long time, but I had no idea that there was such a robust, shall we say, community of people online doing project panning and doing all these different kinds of projects too. Not just like a Project 10 pan, but like, you know, pan in every palette and graveyard project pan and all these panning, really fun panning project ideas that I had never seen before. And then that opened up a whole new avenue for me to like participate in the beauty community, feeling like I was getting use out of my makeup and having like exciting things to share about makeup, but also not feeling like I was caught up in that cycle of like wanting to be a review channel and buy new things all the time and getting myself into debt over makeup, like that kind of thing. I'm gonna use the Milani liquid contour in Honey Miel for some sculpting here. But even still, like, I don't know how you all view me, but I don't really view myself as like a panning channel necessarily. Like, I definitely do partake in panning projects, but I also do other things. Sometimes I review eyeshadow palettes. I guess I'm not exclusively a panning account, and I don't think I ever will be exclusively panning because I think I am a middle ground person, because when I think in black and white, I struggle sometimes. So this idea of like, I'm not buying makeup anymore, I know that works for a lot of people, but that would not work for me. It would definitely trigger the opposite effect of like my brain rebelling against itself. Like, what do you mean you're not buying makeup anymore? And then I go and buy 10 palettes in a row just to prove to myself that I can do whatever I want. Is that a Sagittarius thing? I'm a Sagittarius, and sometimes I do feel like I have that weird rebellious streak against myself. So now I guess I'm striving for balance in my makeup consumption and also in what I post on YouTube. I'm really jealous of the people who are like panning people and that's like their thing and it's what they do. I'm really inspired by those people because they have so much discipline. I feel even more inspired by the fact that they've created such a like positive community where everyone is like cheering each other on and supporting each other's projects, and we're all like still able to be part of the beauty community but without having to buy things. Like, that I think is really amazing, and I really look up to all of those dedicated project panners out there who have paved the way for me to be able to have a channel like this that kind of, you know, does both. Which is not to say that there's anything wrong with buying every new launch if that's what you want to do. I'm not trying to shame those people either, because I think everyone should do what makes them happy as long as it's not hurting anyone else. I just know for me, it was becoming a financial burden primarily, and also a burden of space, like in my living situation. I just did not have the space to accommodate all of that makeup, and I started to mentally feel cluttered and overwhelmed when I was sort of buying freely. And now I feel like on the back end of that, I'm definitely learning how long it authentically takes to use makeup up, and realizing like how much makeup me having in my home makes me comfortable, if that makes sense. Using my Marc Jacobs, what is this called? Omega Bronze, by the way. I don't know if any of that made sense either. It's gonna take me some practice to figure out how to talk and make sense and also apply makeup at the same time. So, okay, I'm gonna finish up the lower lash line now. So just going back in with that deepest brown shade and kind of connecting it. I tend to only go over about halfway just so I can maintain the kind of wide-eyed look, just because I feel like that flatters me. Are y'all sick of looking at these curlers yet? I know I am. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna go in with a little bit of shimmer. I'm gonna take the shade Monroe, put that in the inner corner, and just kind of blend it onto my lid a little bit. I don't want it to be like super shimmery, and you all know I love shimmer, but I just feel like my coworkers usually see me with such minimal makeup on that I don't want to scare anybody. I just take a touch of that on my finger and put it right in the center of my lid as well, just to catch the light there. One last blend through the crease. And I think the eyes are done. Could be better, could be worse. I need to do some eyebrows, and unfortunately I ran out of my good brow pencil yesterday, which is the Make Blade line. I should have thought about it to save some for today, but I didn't. So I'm gonna have to use a powder, which is fine. It's just not my favorite way to put my brows on. I do still have this Essence How to Make Brows Wow, which I did declutter in my declutter, but I recluttered it for the purposes of having something to put in my brows. Someone asked, what's your favorite look you've done so far this year? I would say any of the looks that I did with the Odin's Eye palettes I tried this year. I really loved the looks that I created with the Perfect World collection. I was really proud of myself for pushing the limits of my comfort zone to incorporate like more colors together, because my comfort zone is definitely like a monochromatic look if I'm doing color. So I was really happy with the way that those looks came out. And then I just recently did another Odin's Eye video for the Merry Christmas and the Christmas Eve palettes, and I really loved those looks as well. Same kind of thing, just getting myself out of my comfort zone of monochromatic looks and incorporating a bunch of colors I might not normally pair together. I feel like I always like the way that my eyeshadow looks when I do that. So it's a reminder to myself to do that more, I guess. Someone asked, how big is your collection / any plans for Black Friday purchases? So if you've seen my declutter, you know that my collection is it's large. It's on the large side for like a typical makeup wearer, I would say. But I don't have a huge amount of non-eyeshadow palette products. I mean, my blushes, I definitely have a lot of blushes, and I have way too many lip products. But the majority of my makeup collection is eyeshadow palettes. I think I have like 85 eyeshadow palettes right now, which is a lot. I am uncomfortable with that number, which is why I'm doing the kind of panning that I'm doing, because that just seems a little bit too high for me. But it's just a product of what I already kind of talked about, which was like getting re-excited about makeup and trying a bunch of formulas and colors that I hadn't tried. And kind of overspending for a while before realizing that actually I don't want that large of a makeup collection for me. Again, if you have more than that and you are happy with it, then I'm happy for you. Like I also don't believe in decluttering for the sake of decluttering. Like I think that's really disingenuous. Like people that declutter just because declutter videos tend to be popular on YouTube and do well. I feel like that's also wasteful. So yeah, everyone has to find what works for them, but my collection currently is a little bit too big for me. Brow gel is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter as per usual. In terms of Black Friday, I have been doing this no-buy for a few months now, and honestly, I think I'm gonna keep doing it. I could talk myself into any amount of Black Friday purchases, but to be honest with you, the things that I would probably purchase would be eyeshadow palettes, and I just told you I have too many eyeshadow palettes for comfort. So, you know, even if I made an exception for Black Friday and I bought some eyeshadow palettes, it's like I have so many eyeshadow palettes at this point that I probably wouldn't even be able to get that much use out of the new eyeshadow palettes. So I think I'm just gonna hold off. I'm gonna try to hold off. If I feel like I'm dying for something, I'll put it on my Christmas and birthday list because my birthday's in December, and I'll give that to my fiance or my family or friends if they want to buy me something. But for the most part, like I don't even want my family and friends buying me makeup this year. Something about my mindset has changed, I think, this year, and I feel really content with all of the makeup that I have. I have more choices than I even want, and I'm just gonna go with that feeling. I'm not gonna try to talk myself out of it just because it's Black Friday. Again, if you've been waiting for a discount on something and there's a discount on it for Black Friday, absolutely buy it. Like I think Black Friday discounts are a really good time to be smart about purchasing things that you were already going to buy, you know, full price anyways. But I think I'm going to hold off this year. We'll see. Watch me now like buy a bunch of eyeshadow palettes. Ooh. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm going to have to like turn my Wi-Fi off that day or something just to keep my mind occupied elsewhere. Okay, we need blush and we need it bad. I'm just going to go in with my Wander Beauty On the Glow, which I'm still working on finishing up. This is how much we have left. It's not much. I think I'm going to layer a cream and a powder just for extra longevity. Someone said, do you have products you love to use but don't reach for? Yes. Natasha Denona Biba. Back on the topic of my makeup collection, like if I let myself, I would reach for the Biba every single day because I love it. It's very easy to create looks with. I think the formula and the quality of the shadows, the blendability, the ease of application is unmatched. It's my favorite palette. It works for all occasions, for every day, for more glam, but I am trying to use all of my eyeshadow palettes 3 times this year. So I'm not really reaching for my like top favorite palettes again and again and again because I'm trying to spread the love across my entire palette collection. So this one, my Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey, also falls in that camp. I absolutely love that palette and I haven't even used it once this year. Same with my Pat McGrath Moonlit Seduction, which I got for Christmas last year, which is another reason why I don't really need to be asking for makeup for Christmas because I haven't touched that palette since like February. Yeah, I've got lots of eyeshadow palettes that I really, really love that I'm not really reaching for right now simply because I'm trying to use all of my eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to set over top of that with the shade Mood Exposure from my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit. Ambient Lighting Mini Edit? I don't remember. This was one of the OG Hourglass palettes for a holiday collection many, many years ago. Also just going to go in with this highlighter as well from this palette, which is the Metallic Strobe Powder in Champagne Strobe Light. Someone said, worst makeup product you've ever tried. My mind immediately goes to like any eyeshadow from the drugstore pre-2017. Like eyeshadows were not good back in the day, especially like cream eyeshadows. I remember I once had this like CoverGirl duo. It was like a eyeshadow stick duo. It was so bad. It creased like almost immediately on my eyes. But one maybe in more recent years, I'm going to take some of this finishing powder. It's the finishing powder in Soft Light and just kind of go over everything. I really did not like that L'Oreal Hyaluronic Serum. Is it Hyaluronic Serum Skin Tint or something that came out maybe last year or the year before and everyone loves? That did not look good on me. And it has like hyaluronic acid in it and it's supposed to be hydrating and stuff. Sorry, I have a brush hair. But that made my skin look so dry. It was not flattering and everyone else loved it. So I was definitely feeling gaslit by that product. Okay, mascara is a baby of the Tarte Tartelette Tubing Mascara that I got in a Ipsy bag. Someone said 3 brands you've never tried. That's actually a really good question. There's a lot of brands I haven't tried. Say comes to mind. I feel like they are in the same kind of arena as Kosas and Merit. Kind of clean beauty, minimal vibe. Everyone really raves about the Say Super Glowy Gel or whatever. I feel like I would like that product, but I just don't need any primers at this point in time, so maybe one for the future. But yeah, I haven't tried Say. I haven't tried Kulfi, which is another one that people seem to be really loving right now. I've heard good things about their concealer, their cream shadows. I'm yet to try anything from Ilia. Same thing as Say. I feel like they are a clean beauty brand and kind of minimal. I was very close to purchasing their, they have like a tinted skin oil product. I was really close to purchasing that last winter because none of my base products were looking good on my really dry, flaky winter skin, but it's like $50 and it has a really odd smell. So I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm sure there's other brands I haven't tried, but I'm just not thinking of any at the moment. Well, Rhode is kind of an obvious one, Hailey Bieber's brand. I know a lot of people are big fans of like the glazing milk and the peptide lip balm whatevers. Looks interesting, but I don't know, I'm not like dying to try it at this point, so I'm holding off. And then there's a bunch of like indie eyeshadow brands that I would really love to try at some point. Like I don't have any single shadows from Clionadh or Terra Moons or even like Looksy or some of those other single shadow brands. I've always wanted to try Sydney Grace, Unearthly, all of those like indie eyeshadow brands I would like to try one day, but I haven't tried yet. Okay, I'm about to have to leave, so we're gonna have to hurry this up. Top 5 skincare products. I can answer that. Well, the Skin Fix Triple Lipid Barrier it's the TPLC, I think. Triple Peptide Lipid Complex moisturizer is definitely my favorite for my really, really dry winter skin, but it is a little bit expensive, so I don't have it in my rotation right now. But I've repurchased that one like 3 times. It's really, really good. The Face Theory AccuWake Eye Cream. You can barely even see the writing on it. I've repurchased this one a million times because it's one of the only eye creams that doesn't sting my under eyes. My under eyes get really dry and I get like, I think they're eczema patches. They're really, really sensitive and eye cream tends to sting really, really bad. So finding an eye cream that could moisturize that area without stinging it was really a godsend. So I really love that one. The Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair is one I've repurchased. I love that product. It has hyaluronic acid in it and it just makes my skin feel really juicy and plump and moisturized. Sunscreen would be the Elta MD, I want to say UV Clear. Is that, I feel like that's that commercial for those glasses that turn dark when you go outside. I am genuinely terrible at remembering names of products, but I really, really love, oh, you know what? Actually, the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. That one's even better. I love that Beauty of Joseon. It's like the rice probiotic one. It's so moisturizing but lightweight. Oh, I love that product. Is that 5? I don't even know. I feel like that was 4. For number 5, I would say Vaseline. Good old-fashioned Vaseline. I put it on my lips every night and every morning. And I have for over a decade, and it's the only thing that I don't get like, you know how sometimes with chapsticks you'll like get addicted to them and then when you don't use them your lips get even more dry and irritated? That does not happen with Vaseline. So that's like the one lip product that has stood the test of time for me. Speaking of lips, I need to get my lip liner and my lipstick on, so I'm taking MAC Whirl. I'm actually going to put this all over the lips as though it is a lipstick. Okay, I just put my MAC and Samantha Ravndahl lipstick over the top. I'll probably put a lip gloss on as well, but for now, this is the finished look. I really need to take out these stupid curlers. I'm so sorry you've had to stare at them this whole time. While I take my hair out, let me find another last question to answer. Oh, this is a good one to end on. What's your favorite thing about creating content? Talking with all of you. I know. Cheesy, right? Cheesy but true. I really do though. I don't have a lot of people in my everyday life who are into makeup. Like they wear makeup, but they're not into makeup. You know what I'm saying? So having a community of people that have that like shared interest and level of passion toward it is really fun. And I've also made some really like genuine friendships, like not just makeup focused friendships. I'm struggling to get this, there we go. Through having my Instagram account and through being on YouTube, and that's really special to me. I don't know how many of you have been here since March, but I did go through a really difficult time in March. I don't want to get too much into it right now because I just did my makeup and I don't want to cry before I have to leave, but I did have a really devastating loss in my family in March, and the friends that I've made through having my Instagram account and being on YouTube really poured out a lot of love and support during that time, and that meant so much to me. Like, you all have no idea how much having you there, having you to talk to, having your support means, and thank you for being here and for being my friends. cut to the part where I rip all my hair out when I take these curlers down. Ouch. All right, so I gotta go sort this hair out and put on my dress and run out the door. So thank you so much for watching today, for getting ready with me, for sending in your questions. I really do love you guys, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.